The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. To the disciples of John and the Pharisees were accustomed to fast. People came to Jesus and objected, "Why do the disciples of John and the disciples of the Pharisees fast, but your disciples do not fast?" Jesus answered them, "Can the wedding guests fast while the bridegroom is with them? As long as they have the bridegroom with them, they cannot fast. But the days will come when the bridegroom will be taken away from them, and then they will fast on that day. No one sews a piece of unshrunken cloth on an old cloak. If he does, its fullness pulls away the new from the old, and the tear gets worse. Likewise, no one pours new wine into old wineskins. Otherwise, the wine will burst the skins, and both the wine and the skins are ruined. Rather, new wine is poured into fresh wineskins." The Gospel of the Lord.
So Jesus was at a wedding yesterday in the gospel, and I made the point in the opportunities I had to preach about yesterday's gospel that Jesus is, in fact, at this wedding, and there's going to be another wedding, and that is Jesus, if you will, marrying the people. Jesus is the bridegroom, and the wedding is the Last Supper and Calvary. And so Jesus says explicitly today, can the wedding guests fast while the bridegroom is with them? And who are the wedding guests? The disciples. Who is the bridegroom? Jesus. What is the wedding? The celebration is beginning as Jesus is inaugurating this new ministry. Throughout the Old Testament, especially with a couple of the prophets, Isaiah and Hosea, the analogy of God being the husband and the nation of Israel being his bride is used a number of times, many times. And the nation of Israel, is she a faithful bride or is she an adulterous bride? She's an adulterous bride. And who does she commit adultery with? The idols, the false gods. And so we have this is I hope this isn't brand new to any of you. This idea of God's marriage to humanity and humanity's infidelity to God. And that Jesus comes not to cast out the unfaithful bride, but to heal her and bring her back and woo her and sacrifice himself for her, and that establish something new, and that which Jesus comes to establish that is new. And this is where he starts going from talking about wedding guests to talking about old wine and new wine and shrunken cloth, and I'm making something new. I'm not just patching up the old covenant, I'm making a new covenant, a new marriage. And so that's kind of the background for what we see happening here. Now, what about fasting? What about it? Why do the disciples of John and the disciples of the Pharisees fast, but yours do not? Well, we're having a wedding right now. You don't fast at weddings. The day will come and we will fast. Well, the day is now. Our lives should be marked by fasting. Prayer, fasting, and giving. These three fundamental disciplines of a Christian life. If you don't pray and you don't fast and you don't give, something is missing from your life. Now, do we fast all the time? No, there's seasons of fasting and there's seasons of feasting. And that's another thing that if we have ears to hear and eyes to see as we read this. So during the ministry of Jesus on earth, his disciples didn't fast. When he was taken away from them, now we fast. And so we have seasons of fasting, days of fasting, and seasons of feasting. And so I would just encourage you today to recognize that we're here at the wedding feast of the Lamb. And we're supposed to fast before we receive Holy Communion. Very short period of time, but still we fast. Then we receive Holy Communion. We feast on the bread of life. And it's not just a day where we have a season of fasting and feasting. It's the liturgical year. It's our own personal disciplines. So I challenge you all to be men and women who pray regularly, fast regularly, and give sacrificially. These are necessary components of our Christian journey.